Hello and welcome to another episode of Ivy Backed. I am Austin Harrison and I am excited about our show today. And the reason is emojis. That is not the reason. The two of the bigger ones we're looking at today both put emojis in their name, and so in the tab on the top of my page they have emojis, and I love it. And I want to do this for Mythic Mischief, but it's going to get shot down internally. I just know it is. They're not going to let me do it, guys. So sad. I'm pitching it though, so stay tuned. I would love to do it. It would be very, very fun. All right. So before we dig into today's show, in which we are covering Bantam West, Soul Raiders, and Spire's End, and maybe a little bit of the Assassin's Creed dice game, we're going to do our giveaway from last week. So if you watched last week, we talked Distilled, we talked about Vanguard, and we talked about Platformer. I'm sorry, Velocity Vanguard, and we talked about Platformer. I had a blast checking those out. We got to talk to Distilled more on our episode of Ivy Games Weekly. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, please do. I'm so small. There we go. Hi. So we're going to do a giveaway. And for this giveaway, it was saying something nice about Distilled and maybe talking about a drink that you wanted to see in the game. So we're going to choose our winner for that. And Chris, oh, you dog, Chris. We'll talk about what you win. All right. Chris said it would be interesting for Distilled to have a standalone and or integrating expansions for different drinks like wine and beer. This is mostly because I'm not a fan of hard drinks, but do enjoy some good beer and wine. Interesting, Chris. I wonder if he will take a look at that in the future. Because the game, he was designing it when he was living very close to a distillery. So it's very interesting. Maybe he'll go live near a brewery and then he'll have an expansion. So, but if you want to learn more about that game, the Ivy Games Weekly episode was a blast. I had a really good time talking to him, and you should check that out. You'll be able to find it on our YouTube page pretty easily. So cool. Oh no, I started at the bottom of the page. How dare I? I was just checking it out again. Cool guys. Matt, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Sean, good afternoon to you as well. And Thomas, hey, good to see you. Matt, I'm doing great. I spent all morning moving books. I had to go to the post office would not deliver our books to our new office. We have a temporary office for shooting stuff, and I need a bunch of books for the Mythic Mischief set. And so I was trying to get all of those books from the post office. It was like 300 plus books. They're just like old books that we're using as set pieces. So that's what I did all morning. But yeah, I'm back here now, and I'm happy to be looking at Kickstarters instead of carrying heavy boxes of books around. So yeah. All right. Digging in, we're going to be taking a look at Bantam West. They have a smiley face with a cowboy hat. It's good already. An immersive sim adventure board game for 2 to 4 players set in the wild frontier. I have not played Western Legends. I have heard some people say it's kind of like Western Legends. I have heard Alex from Board Game Co. say it is way deeper than Western Legends is. So hi, Aaron. Good to see you. So I personally want to play Western Legends. I like the Western theme. It's just been something that I haven't had an opportunity to play yet. Already, we're going to call it 100,000. They're going to be above 100,000 by the time this stream section is over. So we're going to call it 100,000. And they still have 29 days to go. So they're doing great so far. Congrats to them. Really, really for them. Now, first created. This is Ike. I'm going to say your last name wrong. So I'm just going to say your first name. He's first created and he's backed 7 other games. Thank you for backing other games before launching your own game. Some people forget to do that, and so it says first created, 0 backed, and that's always a problem. No one wants to see that. I forgot to look at the video. I try to look at the videos, but to be honest, I don't watch Kickstarter videos that often. It has to be like somewhere where I'm like, oh, okay, they've invested in a big animation, or like I heard some, hey, over 100,000, look at that. So I need to go back and watch this video, but I tend to skip them. And honestly, you have to play on the page as if people are going to skip them, because I know a good percentage of people do skip them. So, but I should go back and watch that. I'm going to try to make this window a little bit bigger so you guys can see a little bit more of the page. That didn't actually work. Didn't do a thing. There we go. All right. Okay. So my first question is around Get the Dead Settlers map. For the first 48 hours, the Home on the Range pledge and all and above will receive a free Dead Settlers map. You take from the clutches of a dead settler a map of the area littered with tips, tricks, and survival techniques that will give you a cutting edge. This is awesome. I love rewards like this. It's got this Kickstarter exclusive tag though, and so I was like, okay, is it exclusive to the 48 hours, or is it exclusive to the campaign? So I went down to the pledge levels, And I was like, oh, it's probably an add-on, so it's probably not going to be in the pledge levels. So I looked through the different pledge levels, and I didn't see that. And that makes sense to me. So then I went to the add-on section, and we are going to skip around a bit. I apologize, guys. I went to the add-on section to try to find it, and it wasn't in the optional purchases. There's metal coins, terrain upgrades, first player token, card sleeves, a postcard, and then some like other upgrade packs and stretch goals that are not unlocked yet. So I think my first question is just, can you add this if you don't back in the first 48 hours? So this would be my advice, I think, to them would be yes. You can get this. And there's several reasons. One, if someone really wanted it and they didn't pledge in the first 48 hours because they didn't hear about it till hour 49, it's kind of like a punishment for them because they don't get it. However, that makes sense. Like, you have to incentivize early backing. It's what drives campaign excitement. Like, we do this. Like, this is not saying they shouldn't do this, but I think since it is, it appears to be a gameplay component to where it adds something to the gameplay. It's just not cosmetic or aesthetic. That it would be nice to have it purchasable later. So that helps the publisher in a lot of ways because it increases the number that they have to make of them, right? So like if 2,000 people back in the first 48 hours, that's a good number. But if 200 more people, buy it, maybe that'll increase their economy of scale. Or maybe they were at like 1,900 and the next economy of scale discount's at 200 or 2,000, excuse me, and 200 more people buy it in the pledge manager. Well, it's like, we just saved, X amount of cents per version of that or per item of that. So there's some things like that that'll help you with the economy scale, but it also just is goodwill. I will say that, after the first 48 hours, you can take that off. And so the people that come after the 48 hours don't even know it's a thing if it's not on the page anywhere else. And that might be the plan. And so you don't really deal with people being upset about it because they never knew it was a thing. So there are other ways to get around that. I couldn't find it anywhere else on the page to know whether it would be for sale. So that's probably what they're doing. But that was my first question, just looking at it. All right. So I usually don't start with the negative. And I don't even know if that was a negative, more just something I'm curious about. But the next 3 sections of this page, I am very happy about. I really think they did a good job with this. Dave said, "Hey folks, man, I even hit the reminder thing and I still didn't get here when I started." Sorry, Dave. I start at 4:01 every Tuesday. That's at Central Time. That's my goal. And I think I've hit it like for the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm trying to keep it consistent to always be this time. Ilya, what's up, man? Good. I'm good. Glad you're here. Live. Wow. Talking. That's a thing that I do. All right. So why do I like these first 3 sections here? You guys know that I'm a sucker for art. This is very compelling artwork. It's the Great American West. There's a lot of beautiful visuals. There's horses. There's people. There's these giant mountains in a little town. Like, I think that there's a lot of good nostalgia there. They've got a good type for their logo here. So like it very much fits in with their theme and really shows you the quality of art that's going to be throughout the game. So I think that is wonderful. And I like that beginning, but then they go into story, which is always good. The Deltham Frontier, Death Elm. I'm going to mess that up. You guys know I don't pronounce well. Frontier offers total freedom to those that are tough enough to survive its perils. To thrive out here, you must walk the razor's edge between good and evil. Use everything at your disposal and do whatever it takes to carve out your own path to come on top. Leave behind your troubled past and write your story anew. I like this. It's an open world game, so you're getting at that just a little bit. Then it's also got, there's evil choices, there's good choices. So it's giving you a little flair of what the game's going to be like when you play. Ike. I recognize this name. This name's right here. Hi, Ike. Thanks for watching the show. I'm really excited about your game. It's got a lot going for it, and I'm really a fan of how you laid out the beginning of this page. So I'm gonna keep talking about that. I do need to watch the video. Thank you for the cue. I will go up there and do that. Brian's good to see you. Game Brigade. Really happy you're here. Thanks for hanging out, dude. All right, so does this really great artwork into a little bit of story, down into the key information, like 2 to 4 players, blah, 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 all that stuff that's always on a campaign. Setup is new, though. It has a 15-minute setup, and I think that's good for a big open world campaign like that. Like, you could be like, well, how long is it going to take to set up? You don't want it to be an hour setup and an hour playtime. So I think it's good that they included that. I think with complicated setups might do well to include that, or like try to, or people that, if people think it might have a complicated setup and they're getting that in the comments to add a time on how long it'll actually take to set up. All right. So artwork, a little bit of what's in the box, right into game mechanics. And this is a cool section because it's not telling you how to play. It's telling you what kind of mechanics are in the game. And it's hitting it right at the top. And instantly, if you know you like action selection and you know there's a little bit of dice, a little bit of deck building, it kind of hones in on whether this game is for you very early. And I like that. I think that's really neat. I also like that their action points are either chewing tobacco, I think, or just green gal tobacco or coffee, which is hilarious. So there's a lot of fun thematic stuff. I like that they have a double-sided board. Hot note for people that are not publishers. Boards, once you buy the board, it's usually the same price to have double-sided as far as production goes. The price from the artwork. And so I like that they made a night version, because if you think about it, it's not a huge artwork difference, right? And it's just a different color tone in a lot of ways. But to the backer, that's a huge value jump. It's like I got these two different side boards, and it seems like it's not just artwork, but it adds the complexity and changes the game a little bit, which is not artwork. It's just, gameplay and components. So I really like that they did that. Yeah. All right, Ike, my first question for you, bud. Agility, strength, malice, sneak, willpower. What is mal? Is mal malice? I was curious on what that was. And then we're going to skip one down here. I got some great, pictures of it actually being played. You got the people having fun. This is something that we did for Moonrakers. It actually looks like the exact room we took pictures of Moonrakers in, so that made me laugh. And I think that's good. These pictures are very small, and I would have been really, really sad if that was as close as I got to the player board. Luckily, they do talk about the player board more in detail later and show it more. I do think this next picture is kind of redundant to this picture. It just looks way messier and more complicated. It's just not close enough to maybe show the components well, so it kind of just looks like a mess, versus this picture, which looks very organized and clean. And so I think I would actually take this picture out and just make the player board picture a little bit bigger. But that's just my personal opinion. All right. One of my favorite things on this page is the play as one of the four strangers. Later on, there's a personality test that tells you which of the four strangers you are most like, which I love. Malice is how mean you are. All right, Brian. Sounds good. So yeah, Radcliffe Coffee. Nod to Alex Radcliffe. Board Game Co. has helped play test a little. Oh, that's nice. I didn't even notice that was Radcliffe. I said it, but I didn't associate it. That's hilarious. I watched Alex's Final Thoughts video, or the Final Thoughts section of his video, to get an idea of what he thought about it, and it seems like he's excited about it. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get it. We backed, obviously. Okay, so I'm not going to read through every set of this, but it gives you a really nice overview of the game, what you're going to be doing. You're playing as one of the people. You're exploring the wilderness. You're going to be upgrading your player as you go. You've got a chance to so you're building kind of like a home base type thing, is what I'm assuming. Recruiting riders, though, this one made me laugh because it has like a graveyard here. It's terrifying. And it looks like there's $5 in this grave. So apparently you can grave rob. I'm kidding. I'm not positive that's what you can do, but that's what I initially thought when I saw that. But it seems like you can betray people that you hire. You've got player goals. I love player goals in something like Gloomhaven, so that really fits in well with the games I like to play. So I thought that was unique, or not unique. I thought that was fun, and the way that they have done it seems unique because it looks like you have like almost like a matchbox here, and it's got your different player goals in there. And I thought that was a unique way to present that. Once again, like the thematic nature, there's so much to pull on from the Wild West. And so if the game wasn't thematic and all the little things didn't have cool thematic tie-ins, I'd be disappointed. And I think they do in a good way. So I was excited about that. All right. So here you talk about a little bit more gameplay stuff where it's fighting for survival. Once again, I'm pouring through this pretty quickly. And then talking about Alex, you got that video featured really highly. Watch the game overview, pros and cons video. Now, as a publisher, we'd love for everything just to be pros, right? But it takes some guts to put a pros and cons video. And Alex did have some cons in this video. Now, Alex does a really good job of basing his cons in the reality that he is not every gamer, right? He is taking a look at it and he says, this isn't for me, but it might be for you. And that's always I appreciate Alex's perspective. And something that Alex did hone in on, which is a great reason to have this quote here, so I appreciate that, Ike. You did a really good job with this, is the degree of world building in Bantam West is incredible. The open world game truly is open world. A lot of games say they're open world and they feel a lot more on rails than they actually say they are. So for him saying that, I do think a major selling point of this game is the open world nature. And so it's really, really good to focus on that with their quotes, with the video. And it's just really good to feature that so well. So why did I like these first 3 sections? Well, you guys know I always want to start with artwork because it sets the stage. Got a little bit of story set in that stage. It has a what's in the box. It's not a detailed what's in the box. I prefer that later if it's not 100 miniatures in the box that you're trying to sell. I prefer it later. I really liked this game mechanics section. This is something that I would like to add in a future campaign. I don't know that we will do it in Mythic Mischief, but I do really like this section. And then I like that it has this nice overview. I do want to see how long this image is because it's got to be real long. Oh yeah, that's a long one. But I mean, that's just how Kickstarter goes. Cool. All right, so here's the quiz. I love this. All right, so it's like you come across a beautiful cabin in the middle of the woods. You're confident the owner is someone you have a bone to pick with. Do you A, B, or C? Like, this is fun, and this like puts you in the world, and it's an open world game, and so you have lots of choices on the things that you can do. And this is like perfect. And I'm assuming, you know, A, B, and C and D tie into their 4 characters, and so if you hit A every time, or maybe it changes because that's how it should be if it was an actual quiz or a survey of some kind. It doesn't matter if they did it for this or not, but you're gonna, you know, eventually get someone that you are. I actually wonder how many questions they did. Oh, caps lock. Oh, got an email too. I wonder if you used this. Ike, did you use this before for marketing? That's incredible. If you did, that's amazing. Mal is malice. I got it. It leads to some interesting jokes about when you, whoops. Mal is malice. It leads to some interesting jokes about when you fail a malice check, you just get angry. You aren't angry enough. It's like Bruce, you know, I'm always angry. That's my secret. I have a very high malice score. It's perfect. This is wonderful. Ike, did you use this in pre-marketing? Was this something that you used ahead of time? I need to send this. This is going to my team for sure. Copy that link. I love this. I want to steal this idea, Ike. I hope you're okay with that, but this is beautiful and you should be very proud of this. This is something that this is something you see in like a 3rd, 4th, 5th campaign created, like not a first campaign created. It's a good marketing strategy. It's a fun thing to do on the page. Like, I think now that you're not in marketing mode and it's something that your backers are going to see, I might take the email gateway off of it, but I think it was brilliant to have it at the beginning, especially if you're using it in marketing, because you want to get those emails, right? So you can hit them with, hey, the campaign is live. But now that it is live, I just wanted to know which one I was, and I've already backed, so you don't need my email. You already have it through the pledge. So I think for me, brilliant marketing. Now that the marketing's done, I would take that email wall out, possibly. I think there's still some value in it, especially if people haven't backed yet. But it is something that I might take out. All right, I got to catch up on comments because I saw Alex joined. He must have had his Radcliffe coffee and he's here now. I know the taste. The game looks pretty good. Okay. Hey, Alex, you made it. Good to have you here, bud. Excited to see you this weekend. Still interested in the gameplay. Seems smooth. Sebastian, it looks really solid. And talk about these player boards, man. I love a good player board. And this player board's got some flair on it, which is wonderful. It's got, you have your character, so it's got some nice card art on there that changes depending on who you are. You get a horse, you put it on the page. Like it just is a nice player board where you can track all your stuff. And I like this a lot. It's got if you look in the middle of that board, that's the agility, the strength, the malice, the sneakiness. I think it's sneak, but Mal is malice, leads to interesting things. Saw that. Alex says, Bantam started a bit more on the rails, and the more it developed, the more it really gave you a ton of ways to progress. That's great. Cool. Sorry, I'm catching up on all these. Ooh, apparently Quacklow's video just went up 2 minutes ago. I'm going to have to go check that out too. All right, Ike, now that you're in the chat, I'm going to talk right to you, man, because normally I just talk to the air and I'm like, oh, why did they do it this way? I think if I had a biggest thing that I would hone in on is that the 5 game modes, you have it down here, and then I saw it up earlier on the page. I don't actually remember where that was a thing. All right, I'm not finding it now, but it was in my notes. So we got features 5 game modes, including a warm welcome, home on the range, the hand you're dealt, Shadows Governor, Masters Chaos, or create your own game modes using the modular game board and rules. All right, I don't understand this section. And if I don't understand this section, there's a good chance other people don't understand this section. When I hear game modes, I think of ways to play. So a game mode would be a solo mode, a cooperative mode, a head-to-head mode, a timed mode. Those are game modes to me. The naming of these makes me feel like they are campaigns. We've got the warm welcome campaign, the home on the range campaign, the hand you're dealt campaign, and that could be totally wrong, but without more information there, I am assuming that. And so instead of it being a benefit of like, oh, there's so many modes, because that's a huge selling point, right? If I can play it solo, I can play it co-op, I can play it against somebody. That's just way more ways I can play this game. And I think this just needs like another line of text, like, or even just like a warm welcome. And it's like a cooperative mode where everyone's friendly, home on the range, like you're head to head and you're fighting each other. You hand your dealt, like a quick mode where you start with a built deck already that's random. Like, I don't know if that's what that is at all, but just like a little bit more explanation there would really help me know if the 5 game modes are one of your competitive advantages. And you don't need to describe this to me now, because I think it's more of going to be better for the page, for all the people that are coming to understand what are the actual 5 game modes. All right. Love the map. Love that there's this modularity here. A small frontier at the edge of civilization. So we talk about Gallows Springs, the world that's created. Once again, really talking it, because it's an open world game. It needs the lore. It needs the story and this interaction and this world that you can build your story in. And so I love that you did a really good job on building that out on your page. So really nice. I love how thematic the rule book is. It looks exactly like something I would expect out of the Wild West. I really think you nailed the different components feeling very thematic. So cool. Oh, cool. We did use the quiz for pre-marketing, and that's what's great about it is we share the results of the quiz with all the subscribers in our newsletter. Nice. I would love to see, like, at the end of the campaign, like what the percentages were. It's like 98%. Well, that'd be way too high. 40% of you are, this person. And that's a neat touch. I really like that move, by the way. Ike, really cool idea. Got lots of these good quotes throughout. The level of details, outstanding. Alex is there. I think that you could break up this big section, even though I love this, maybe 1 or 2 more quotes. And more quotes will come in over the course of the campaign. I mean, obviously, Quacklope's, just jumped there. Quacklope's video came out, so you probably will get another pull quote from that. So I would just love to see more of those added in. But once again, this is game day 1. So, I mean, plenty of time to add in that kind of stuff. All right. Warm welcome. Base game is $97. And then you've got the Shadow Governors. All right. So this is a great section, and it breaks it down more here, which is nice. It gives you a little bit more information. I do not think you will see many people hit the retailer button. 10% is a little bit too low of a discount for them. They won't make any money on that. By the time it's shipped and stocked and they sell it and they pay the credit card transaction fees and they pay their electric bill and pay to keep the money, like that, there's no money to be had at a 10% discount. I don't know if that's all unlocked stretch goals at a 10% discount or if that's a 10% discount. So I honestly wouldn't tell backers this at all. I would have this completely obfuscated. And it's for their benefit, because a first-time backer, first-time Kickstarter coming to the page will not understand that a retailer is used to a 60 to 40% discount on things. So I think I would actually you can't change the price if anyone's backed it yet. All right, so you have 10 backers there. I would say that just for my guess, if that's the base game, then it's $50 off. So that's a 25% discount on the base game. That you're probably seeing more group buys than you are retailers. So if you are being really intense about, are you a brick and mortar retail store? Most people are expecting at least a 40% discount. Generally, we will just have $100 is the access that you back at that level, and we'll talk to you about it after the campaign. We're not telling you what you're getting. It's just $100 is what you need to be a what you need to pledge to be a retailer backer of Veiled Fate, Moonrakers, whatever. Some campaigns won't even have it on their page. It'll just be email us here if you're a retailer and you're interested. But obviously now that it is a backed retail or a pledge, then it's going to have to stay there. But I think that will most likely be group buys, which is a great if you want to do group buys of 4 games for $350, then that's great. I think people will people would love that, and that's something that a lot of campaigns will do. But I do think that that's just a little bit too low of a discount for many retailers to be interested, and that's not a problem. Like if you don't think retail is how you, it's a big game. Obviously, it's hard to sell bigger games at retail. Like that's a fine strategy. I just if you do want to sell to retailers ongoing, the discount's not 25% off is not enough. Okay. This section here, Masters of Chaos, all in Bantam West base game. Every unlocked stretch goal, all expansions. So you're going to unlock this at 500K. You're at 100K on day one. I think there's definitely a very good shot of you getting to 500K. I think 400K is almost guaranteed at this point, in my opinion. But I want to know more about this. Is this just like the end of your stretch goals? It's like that is the point where we've done everything and everything is in the game that we wanted in the game. I just think one more line there would really help kind of explain what that is. And otherwise, it's just like I didn't quite understand if this is a new pledge level that would be available and it would unlock at 500,000. And so there's just a couple of times when I was going to, I think is beautiful, and I have so many good things to say about. There's a couple times where it's like I don't quite understand what that is. Nice board game meeple quote here. This game is really something special. It's one of those epic games. Gotta love big epic games. Love all of this. I'm so glad that you got UV Spot and Linen on the cards and Ivory Core on the cards. So many of those things are just so nice tactile things. And I think you did a good job to have those be your lower stretch goals. I also really like your stretch goal positioning on the page. I don't like it when stretch goals are really high on the page, especially in the first day. If you want to move it up closer near the end of the campaign, that's fine. But I think you did a really, really good job on there. Silver tier, game additions to all pledge levels. Gold tier, big ticket items available on the pledge manager. A line of text just telling me why these are question marks or when it will come. But I mean, if it's just something you want to do as a surprise, I understand that too. I'm not going to say that's a negative at all. Oh man, I haven't been looking at questions. Rulebook is spot on from Sebastian. Totally agree. Question from Bantam West is like, wow, maybe I'm done banging games until I get a raise. Jason says it's a big game, Jason. It looks like a big game. And I personally think most games are underpriced in this current environment. It is more expensive to make them. It is more expensive to ship them. It is more expensive to market them because of the competitive environment. It is a hard time for small developers or small publishers. And so I think I'm not going to comment on value. If you want to talk about value, there are lots of people that will go and look at value for pages. I'm mostly looking at the publisher's decisions as far as the Kickstarter page and in game components and things like that. But I mean, there's no question for me that this game is priced abnormally in any way. Says non-retailers can purchase the retail pledge for group buys. Then it's a great level. And if you want to do retail later, you can do it after the campaign. Retailers don't need to be on there. I think retailers handshake, it probably should just been like group buy handshake or something like that. But because it's just 25% or 10% or whatever it actually is, it's just not enough for a retailer to be interested in. But you could always add another one, I guess. Did I let you I feel like you can't rename them. I should know this off the top of my head. I know you can't cancel them or change too much about them, but you might be able to rename them. But anyway, not important. Oops. Okay, they commented that it's not restricted to retailers. Great idea on the game mode descriptions. Nice, Ike. I'm really excited about that. Oh, by the way, the credit for my quiz idea goes to my best friend and business partner, Max Palmer. He's in the team section at the bottom of the Chaos page. All right, I'll give Max a shout out when I get down there. All righty, moving on. Optional purchases. I think this is a great section. Gotta love metal coins. If you look at the Shadow of Governors pledge level, a lot of this stuff is going to come in that. You've got the terrain upgrade pack, you have the metal coins, upgraded first player token. I think the only thing it doesn't come with is the card sleeve, right? The card sleeves are going to be an add-on additionally to that. Just want to make sure. Yes. So 150. So you're going up $53, and there's obviously more than $53 in stuff right here. So there is a good discount. If you're going to buy that stuff, just back at the Shadow of Governors page. Always check the math. I always like to check the math on that because I'm like, if it's a la carte just the same price, then why? And so we always try to make our add-ons add up to be less than the all-in tier for sure. All right. this is interesting, and I don't disagree with it at all. This is good, and it's a wise business move coming from Ike and his business partner, because certain stretch goal right? So for us, this was the metal ship tokens on Moonrakers, first campaign, same problem. We didn't want to offer metal ship tokens because if not enough people bought them, we have an MOQ. MOQ stands for minimum order quantity. We had to order 500 sets of ship tokens. There was no way to order less than that. That's the minimum we could possibly order. And so we were like, well, if 200 people buy them, then we still have to buy 500 of them, and we might never sell them. And so what price do we have to put them at, right, in order to make this make sense? And for this, it's a little bit of the reverse, and I actually like this more. It's like, okay, how many backers around do we need to be at, or what level of backing around do we need to be at for this to make sense for us to do? So we got unlocked at 300,000, unlocked at 350,000, unlocked at 400,000, unlocked at 500,000. That doesn't mean that these are free. I'm assuming all of these cost money to add on in the pledge manager, and they'll be unlocked if they get to these numbers. But what it does is it protects Ike from having to make these if the game only did 200K. Luckily for him, I think he's going to hit at least the first 3, if not all 4 of these goals. But it's a really good way to hedge your risk, because you just don't want to have to make this stuff if you're going to lose money on it, right? So I really like the way he did this. I'm curious just like what backers in general think about a section that looks like this. So anyway, but really, really smart way to do that, Ike. You've made so many good decisions on here, and so many little things that just feel like a much more advanced campaign for sure. Components. All right, so I have another complaint for you, Ike. I think because you have minis, just the mini section at least could have been a little higher, because we've got it, after stretch goals, after optional purchases, after, I think they could have been in this section, or like right above this section, because people love minis. It's just one of those things. They love them. And generally you want to see all of what you're getting in a component section before you're actually looking at your what does it cost. So sometimes people will put the pledge level and the component section together. I personally like where this is, because I do not like the component section being really high up on the page. I prefer it a little lower on the page, but I might have featured the minis just a little bit bigger. You do see them, here, and you see them here, but other than that, there's not a lot of place on the map where we're seeing it. And as you saw in our comments section, the people are like, yeah, with games being $100, I buy less of them, and there are other games you're competing with out there. So having that value proposition of this is why this, it's got miniatures, it has all these custom boards, it has all these custom cards, it's got all this custom artwork, like anything we can throw at them to value it higher is going to improve that. And I mean, there is a lot of stuff. There's the town, there's the player boards, there's the stores, there's the terrain. There's a lot of boards out there. And so, I mean, you can just look at the components list. There's a lot of stuff here. Resource tokens, coins, all kinds of stuff. All right, reviews. Oh, hey, there's a Jesse quote already. You should be paying attention to this game. I think that it's setting itself up to be a giant contender when it comes to immersive story-driven and open world strategy game. Awesome. Oh, Jan's got one too. The amount of detail on this is actually completely insane. You get some really good quotes here. Man versus Meeple. As soon as you start playing this, you're going to be immediately transported back into the Old West. So that ties in perfectly what I was saying about just everything I'm seeing feels like it fits the theme very, very well. As you start doing anything you want, I can't stress this enough. This game gives you so many different open-ended actions that you can take. There's no one true path to victory. Yeah, really good. Shipping, pretty much what you'd expect as far as cost goes for the United States. Prices projected for 2022. Yeah, nothing on here really surprising me. Norway and Switzerland, man, it is so expensive to ship there. Just really is. Rest of world is always complicated. Might be a little cheap on rest of world, except for the fact that he did a really good job of excluding regions. So if you go in the section down here, you've got, we're not shipping to South America, we're not shipping to Mexico, we're not shipping to Middle East. And those are the rest of world's ones that are going to run you like $300, right? And it's just like, shipping to Madagascar, and it's like, well, how do we even get it there? We ship it by boat, and then we have to fly it, and then we have to, it's just like, it's like 8 different touch points, and it never makes it. You have to send 2, and then you have to pay the shipping cost again. It's why people exclude regions like this. And I think for a first time campaign, that's really smart. I wish we had excluded some of these on both Veiled Fate and Moonrakers. And we did exclude some of them, but yeah. And then a really good section on VAT here. Not necessarily easy to find, but it is written on the page, and that's what's important, is that people are going to have to pay VAT. That they should know that by now. But in case they didn't, it is on the page. Oh, goodness. All right. Alex, that was literally you that told me that minis sell. You told me this. Dave, I heart my metal ships. Moonrakers vastly improved them by existing. Dave, it was a close call. I think at one point my recommendation was to not do it. We had a lot of comments saying, "Hey, you need to make them. You need to make the metal ships." And I've been talking about this game for 35 minutes. Well, obviously I like it. Like, man. Oh, Ike, if you refresh the page, the silver tier was just unlocked, and you can look at it now. Uh-oh, where was that? Here we go. Oh, it's stretch goals. See, I just didn't understand. Like, this makes perfect sense. I should have seen bronze tier up here. Component quality upgrades for all pledge levels, game additions to all pledge levels, big ticket items available in the pledge render. I totally understand now. This is great. This is wonderful. Don't listen to me. Take the advice I had about the section and throw it out the window. I just didn't understand that these were add-on tiers. And I think this is a really good way to do this, is component, game additions, and big ticket items. So really cool idea. Once again, proving yourself to be a veteran of your first campaign, but it seems like you've done more. All right. Looks like an unboxing video got thrown on here, and about the team, there's Max Palmer, the idea to make the quiz. Good job, Max. I told you I'd give you a shout out, so there you are. David McKenzie, graphic designer, did a really good job. Yeah, overall, really, really wonderful job, guys. Risk and challenges section. This is the most beautiful risk and challenges section I've ever seen. You're working with Panda. Great choice. Wonderful choice. We do all of our games through Panda. Steven, our account manager, is the best person ever. It's so encouraging when I see a first-time creator working with Panda, because I know Panda will hold their hand like they held our hand. And yes, they had to hold our hand to get us through Moonrakers and make it amazing. So congratulations. That was very, very smart. Yeah, wonderful that you did that. 100% of the artwork and assets for the base game are complete. Great to hear as well. This is a cool section. Everyone skips the risk and challenges section and they just write, things happen and board games get lost at sea and that could happen, blah, 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 blah. And it's always in plain text. It's always at the bottom. So I like this. This is a nice section. Okay. See, there's risks and challenges, except it's way shorter because usually it's not really awesome and produced like this. Really nice looking page. Congratulations. Hopefully some of my advice was good and not just me talking to thin air, but really pumped for you guys. Cool. Dave, today on Ivy Back, Bantam West, and that's all we have time for this week. See, it's worse when I'm really excited about a game. I just keep talking, and I forget that I have two other games I'm going to talk about, so it just happens. Also, Austin, let me refresh this page. I've been talking about this game for 35 minutes. Oh, no. Hey, Codiferous is here. What's up, dude? It's been a while. Very happy you're here. Everybody's here today. All right. Cool. Next one. All right. We're doing Soul Raiders. Wait, I have to check my notes just to make sure. Didn't want to talk about anything else. No, that was everything. Sweet. Soul Raiders. All right. What am I talking about here? Okay. So this game did not launch today. It launched last week, but I didn't cover it last week, and I wanted to cover it. I think it came out like end of Tuesday or Wednesday sometime. Become a powerful warrior mage in this cooperative, action-packed, story-driven epic game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Mark Andre. Now, Mark is one of the designers, or the designer, of Splendor. And this game is nothing like Splendor. And so it's got this like mix of like, that's incredible because Splendor is huge. And also like, this is nothing to do with Splendor and is not even comparable to Splendor in any way. So it's like, it's not really his type of game that he's made famous for, but who knows? He's probably designed like 18. Splendor's been out for a while, so he's probably designed like 18 other games since then. But I thought that was funny. One for All is brand new themes, first created, 7 backed. I think Bantam was first created, 7 backed, and they both have emojis in their titles. I really wanted to call that out today. So we've got the cowboy versus the cross swords. And maybe that's what we'll do as our giveaway, is which one are you backing, the cross swords, the cowboy? Just answer with emojis. or just any emoji. Actually, that's what we're doing as a giveaway today, is just you have to respond. Your comment has to be all emojis and tell a story that is PG. Tell a PG story. Anyway, continuing on. Soul Raiders. Okay. A couple of things on this campaign I'd never seen before, and that's always cool. You always want to have a factor like that if you can, of like, I've never seen that before, right? And for this, it was the invisible minis. And so I'm going to talk about those probably more than I talk about the rest of the page, just because I'm already at 40 minutes. I only have 20 minutes to cover 2 games. But of course, I'm going to talk about the initial image, because this is what sells me in a game, usually. Like, I know if I'm curious about a game after reading the top, right? Soul Raiders, such a simple name for everything you will become, the adventures you will have, the fights you will lead, all the magical power you will wield. Your order is sworn to protect this world from its countless enemies, and you will make sure that they remember this name too. Always good to have some world building up there. And they do a 30 plus hours questing here on the page, which I thought was interesting. So it's like 2 to 4 hours per game session. Now, if you do the math, that's not a huge number of sessions. However, Gloomhaven, which is like hundreds of sessions, is daunting. Like, I will never finish Gloomhaven. I've played 30 plus episodes in Gloomhaven. I love Gloomhaven. It's one of my favorite games. I'm going to switch to Frosthaven as soon as Frosthaven gets delivered. Having a game that I'm like, it is feasible that I will finish that, is not a bad thing. Now, for some people, it might be. They're like, I want 200 hours of gameplay in this. And that's fine. But like, for me, 30-hour quest is wonderful. I think that's a good thing to call out. Ike, thanks so much for making the game, man. Really, really excited about it. You guys are going to blow that funding goal way out of the water. I think you already have. So congrats, man. Really good campaign. Ike, actually, if you're still around and you want to come on Ivy Games Weekly on Friday, let me know. We'll do an interview. We'll hang out. And yeah, I think you know Chris. Chris can get you in touch with me pretty easily. So yeah. Okay. Now, Soul Raiders did a plain text campaign for a lot of it. And we talked about this last week. And if you're not doing a plain text campaign, it might be a good idea to do an outline of your page for people that have challenges, especially visual challenges, or need a reader to read the text to them. So, all right. Soul Raiders is a cooperative, action-packed, story-driven game created by best-selling author Marc-Andre Splendor and team of talented artists. I'm not going to try to say their names. So things that I like and things that I don't like about plain text. With plain text, it's really hard to have visual hierarchy. And that is a fancy word that Zach probably teaches me because he has to teach me more than once. It's just, when I'm looking at the page, there's some bolded things, only visual hierarchy we have, besides maybe some bullet points and things, but it's harder to call out the really important things on the page. So, like, you can't have it be masked. It's white text. It's just bold or not bold. And so that's a negative, but not like a negative against them. It's just a negative of Kickstarter, really. An immersive setting, 120 oversized double-sided location sheets, and 800 cards. That is so many things. Fast-paced, action-packed game flow, and an innovative design. The reason I wanted to call this out is the fast-paced and action-packed game flow. I think they do a uniquely good job of exhibiting that. What I don't think I like is the way these stretch goals are here. Now, what I like about it is it's high on the page without being exhaustive. Like, it's not like every stretch goal we've unlocked and the 20 that we still have to unlock. It is nice, and that is current stretch goals. It's the one we just unlocked, and it's the one we have yet to unlock that we are close to. So I love all of that about this section, right? But I just wish they were switched. I was like, I had to look at that for like a minute before I realized what they were trying to do here. And they were trying to show you, this is the one we just unlocked, and this is the one we're about to unlock. But the fact that this one was above this one confused the crap out of me. And it took me forever to realize that this green thing over here was a lock. So me being stupid, probably. But if they were switched, I would have realized it right away. So Dave said, I keep buying epic campaigns that will never, ever finish. Pretty sure Alex has a video on that. I feel very called out. Alex says, Dave, I feel called out. When did you even bring it up? Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Why Kickstarter? Soul Raiders is an epic game. This is why back now. Basically just a different why Kickstart, not why Kickstarter. Basically a different name for the same section. They went with the argument that this is the only way it will get made. It is too big of a game for us to bring to retail without too much risk. And so if you want the game, this is where you're going to get it. It will not be on retail stores. It might be sold after this in a con or something, but this is the only way to get this game for sure, is basically what they're saying. And that is a great reason to back, right? That's, if you want this game, then you have to do it now. And that's good. I do think that when people have why Kickstart sections, there are other things that you can do that will encourage people too. And maybe it doesn't make sense for this campaign, but for other campaigns, it's like you get it first, you get it before retailers. As Terraforming Mars realized, you need to follow through on that if that's something you say. I don't know if they said that on the campaign, but it is something that is very expected. So you've got, it might not be made if you don't back it. You'll get it first, usually can impact it in some way, and then exclusives. Those are the big four. So they just went for the one here. Highlights. Gameplay based on fiction. All right, so going back to what I said about the snappy, action-packed game flow. These GIFs are wonderful for this. And it's perhaps the best GIFs gameplay thing I've seen that's combined with white text. Usually if the GIFs are this good, then it's a whole design section. And I think this is just a design choice from the beginning. Like, it's going to be a white text campaign. And I respect that. I think that is definitely a choice you can make. And we're going to see it again in Spires and Hildegard. I think that is how you say it. All right. So gameplay based on fiction is basically just telling a story. Action-packed and intuitive game system. So you're seeing what you are doing. You are adding these things together, and you are using them to kill this thing. 2 and 2 somehow are reaching 6. I think it's because it's +1 if you use it with another action card. So it's you're chaining things together to get bonuses and get higher numbers. There is no player turn in Soul Raiders. During the heroes phase, each players can act independently from one another and simultaneously. This eliminates downtime between actions and enhances the fast-paced progression of the heroic party. This is a downside of plain white text for me. I feel like this is a huge selling point on the game. In Gloomhaven, it's like, all right, well, who's got what order and whose turn is it? And okay, you're going to do that on your turn, and then I'm going to do this on my turn. Oh, okay. And that's a mechanic in Gloomhaven that I like, but it does make the game longer. This is like you're going at the same time. Boom. Simultaneous turns is a huge selling point, and it's relegated to this small bullet point right here. And once again, that's not a complaint necessarily of them. It's just I want that to be bigger. I want other people that come to this page to know that from the get-go. Cool. Cooperative tension. Above all, Soul Raiders is a tense cooperative game. As players face overwhelming odds and multiple threats that are pitted against them, one for all and all for one. We got a little bit of Musketeers in here. Something that's interesting is that they really combined elements of this game to make it snappier, I think. Like, their health pools are all combined. Their actions all happen at the same time. And so you're really working as a team. It's like, if I take damage, it's not, oh, my character's going to die, and then everyone else is playing without me. It's like, hey, as a collective, we have 10 health left. And I think that's a really good idea for a game where you're like permadeath, or like if someone gets eliminated in Gloomhaven in like an early round, they get exhausted. They're just like sitting there like, well, this is fun. Well, that's impossible in this because it's collective health, which I think is cool. So they did some cool things mechanically in the game for sure. Oh, where'd my cursor go? There we go. Truly epic game. Talking about the size of it, larger than life heroes, diversity and depth of story, production value. All right, talking about production value, guys. I am a sucker. Is it over there? Do I have Tortuga over there? I don't see it. I'm a sucker for board games that have boxes that looks like books. I love it. I want it. It is always a good thing. It is the number one thing that is tempting me to up our pledge to the Grimoire edition, because I'm currently at the standard edition on this pledge. So I am very close to upgrading to the Grimoire, and I'm going to lay at night, asleep in my bed, and I'll wake up and be like, but the Grimoire has the book box. And it's just like, that should not be an encouragement for me to want to back it. It's just an aesthetic thing, but it does it for me. Anyway, but they did go all in on some of the components to make them feel really upgraded, which when you're doing something that's like, hey, we're not going to retail, we're doing it at a high quality level, and it's a big epic game, and the only way we can make it is if we have your support at the beginning, you want to reward that with high quality components. All right, miniatures. So this is what I was talking about with unique things. I have never seen a clear plastic mini paired with a plastic mini. And I'm guessing that there are two states that most heroes have, where it's either invisible or visible. And then this guy has invisible or clone, and I'm assuming his clone can also turn invisible. So he's got like, his special power must be he's 2 of them. Anyway, I love this. especially if it works well in the mechanics. And the reason I love it is from a production standpoint, it's genius. If they can use the same mold, and they are using the same mini mold or the mini sculpt. So from an artwork standpoint, it's the same artwork, right? It's the same model. It's just a different resin. It's a different plastic. It's a different whatever material that you're making the mini out of. And so zero change in cost as far as artwork goes or the model goes, which is awesome from a production standpoint. Your miniature also will probably use the same mold. Now, if it's a drastically different material, there's a chance they will have to make two different molds. Some processes of manufacturing need, aluminum mold versus a brass mold, or I don't know, I'm just naming random metals now. But yeah, there's definitely a possibility that they are only paying for the production time and the material to make that. They're not paying for the model to be redone. They're not paying for a new mold to make it. And if so, that's a really affordable way to add content to the game. And if it's really key to the gameplay, then I think it's genius. So yeah, I'm pumped about that. The standard edition ones are right there. They're way less cool, right? Cool. Got the tuck boxes, got hero boards. I'm gonna skip through all this. They've got different chapters. Crap, I'm running out of time. 51 minutes. So I think this is all really good. I do think it's odd that we suddenly jump into some more design sections. I think it's good for the what's in the box. But it's interesting that some of this isn't white text, plain white text, when so much of the other pages. And they got add-ons, metal coins, extra game editions, a lore book, which looks very nice. There's some nice artwork in there. With a game this size, there's going to have a lot of artwork to pull on. All right, some good how to play videos. I do wish there was more external verification higher on the page. They have so many good ones really low on the page, but this is a very long page. I think putting one more of these up higher might have been good, or maybe some more quotes throughout. Because if you look through, where are we hitting quotes? Nothing. No quotes. More in depth how to play. I like this. I like this little gift that they have here. It's very nice. Talk about replay value. And then they go deep dive on the different heroes, which is cool. All right, I don't have time to go through all this, guys. I'm sorry. It's a really cool looking. That's talking about the different campaigns, the different chapters they have, different enemies. I do wonder if people are going to really push for some enemy minis. People love enemy minis, but maybe not. Andy agrees with me. He also thinks it's cool when board game boxes look like books. Let's see. The old version of Monster Apocalypse did the clear model, painted model thing to great effect. Cool. Didn't know that, Age of Adam. Thanks for letting me know. All right, Quacks. I'll take a look. Do the price differences between the standard and deluxe editions make sense? As personally, it seems a bit too high. Cool. And they even did emojis in their pledge levels. It's awesome. Okay. Standard and Grimoire. So we get the upgraded box. You get the invisible minis, because before they're just standees. You get teleportation portal miniatures. You get chapter boxes, and I don't know how that's different. I don't know if those are add-ons or if they're just organizational. Hero tuck boxes. Lore book. The lore book itself can't be cheap. And then all stretch goals. So the stretch goals are going to be different between the two pledge levels as well. There's applicable stretch goals and then just stretch goals. So let's look. The lore book is €20 by itself. So there's only $20 difference between the two after that. But if you don't want the lore book, maybe you should just add some of this stuff individually. Do you get the metal coins? No metal coins in the upgraded version. Boxes. Why are those different? Okay. I'm going to go down and look at that chapter box section again just to make sure. Each chapter is a specific setting made up of 40 unique locations. Besides the fact that these places can be explored in a non-linear way, they also change as you play. Heroes will uncover new challenges on the B side of the location sheets, which can totally alter their plans. That's cool. It seems like these might just be organizational boxes. I don't think, especially with that €20 art book, I don't think that the pledge levels are that far off. I just think I might prefer it without the art book. And so if you can add the other things on separately, it might be the way to go. But the problem is you probably can't add on like the Grimoire box as an add-on to your standard edition. So it's interesting that they didn't just leave the lore book as an add-on. Got Mark Streeden here. You got Rahdo. I'm assuming this is either Shay or Ryan, not Rahdo himself. This does not seem like a Rahdo. Well, maybe. It's just hands. Is it all hands? It is Rahdo. I was wrong, guys. Rahdo played this. Interesting. Usually with these big games, you'll see Shay or Ryan take it over, but it is Rahdo himself. It's the man, the myth, the legend. Interesting. Cool. Good for him. Then we got some friends here. Look at these guys. I don't know how Alex and Jesse have time for all this? Alex, how do you have time to tune into this stream when you are doing so much other stuff? Oh, mercy. Okay, I need to switch. Oh, you know what? Also, Quacks is the stretch goals. Some of them are Grimoire only. Let's try to find one. I actually don't even see that marker on anything. So, yeah, maybe some of the later stretch goals are Grimoire only. All right. I didn't really have any notes on this. It seems kind of what I'd expect for a big box. It's a little expensive, maybe, but I mean, it seems right. $20-ish for the US. 70 to Hawaii seems really high, but you know, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Taxes section, team, pretty big team. A lot of different stuff going on. That is for sure. Motion designer. I didn't watch the intro. I needed to. Didn't watch the intro video, guys. I'm the worst. Okay. I'm out of time. I'm at 57 minutes. Coffee does help. Responding to emails while I watch them really doing wrong thing. That makes sense. And nope, I'm the original. Shut up, Alex. I'm the original. He's got clones doing everything for him, guys. Makes sense. All right. We're talking about plain white text campaigns. This is Spire's End, Hildegard. There is another Spire's End game. It is a little bit more intense than this. This is applicable for, this, they say 12-year-olds and up can play. They say that you really shouldn't be that young playing their first game. So I thought that was interesting that they did that. This is going to be a very different page than I normally cover. It is very minimal. It is very clean. The whole game and design are just very clean in general. And so I'm going to blow through this faster than I normally would. But it is just a very simple page in a good way, not a bad way. And the game itself reflects that very simple, very clean look. So they say, after the dark and foreboding descent into the Spire, I decided to spin in a different direction. I've left behind the cold and darkness for vibrance and worth. I'm calling card game comfort food. And this kind of goes on to that this is for a younger audience, or applicable to a younger audience. And so they do a really nice job of just breaking these sections up. As the premise, you're playing as a young hero, Hildegard, on her first assignment as a messenger. And they kind of talk about some of the different things you might do, like fishing. How it works. So they have the different pages where you're choosing to go to 8 or 2. So navigating your way through Spire's End is simple enough. At the bottom of each card, you would be presented with choices. So it's a very choice. Kind of reminds me of like a choose your own adventure style game. And so it's got like pool cards 88, 89, and 90, and then go to Mercantile 8 or Breakfast 2. And so you're going to have like a different play when you play it through. So anyway, got encounters. Hildegard isn't yet versed in the art of war. Her main line of defense is a slingshot, her wit, and dashing smile. That being said, combat is simple, fun, and a quick affair with a short set of dice rolls and immediate outcome. And so you've got different evil people like the Stalker, face-offs. Once again, all of this is just so clean and so minimal, but I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how you play. It's got the choose your own adventure. It's going to have encounters where I'm actually going to do some combat. I'm going to do some dice rolling. And it's just very clean and simple, and those crows are terrifying. So then they've got a tutorial. It's got a co-op set, or a co-op option. So she's got a little sister helping, who I'm assuming is Helvig here. Anyway, Really, really simple page. If you watch Quackalope's video, it does have spoilers in it, and they did a nice job of putting a spoiler alert there. But it's just so short. I have a few stretch goals. I have a few card-based stretch goals. I'm going to monitor the campaign with the intent of posting them if my goals are met. Stay tuned. It's just like no bells and whistles page. It's just not. There's no gifts that I saw, right? There's very few design sections. The design sections are all cards. Like the artwork on this page is the artwork from the game. It's not like they hired a designer to do this. And normally I would say this is a big negative. Like they needed to do a lot more design, but it's just so clean and simple. Like it had good art direction or good direction as far as like it looks like a very nice, simple page. Yeah. So they've got an add-on as a playmat. They talk about the art. Comic book artist Diego Frias understood my crazy ideas immediately. He's been handling all the characters and item illustrations. There will be more than 100 of his incolorable sketches, including the game. First sketch of Hildegard. Cool. So gives you a little bit of an idea. All right. So some negatives. Why isn't every page look like this? Well, one is Hildegard is a $80 pledge, right? That's not like $100. Like I need to be sold through the roof on this. And so it's just a lower barrier to entry, and it reflects the game itself pretty well. It's a lighter game than, the Spire's End base game, the original game, the first one he did. It's much lighter. It's for a younger audience, or it can be for a younger audience. I keep saying that, and that's not necessarily true. And so this page doesn't need to sell you on 30 minis. It doesn't need to sell you on, our 18 stretch goals. It doesn't need to sell you on, all these different things. Now, negatives, it needs to have what other people are saying higher up. This should be like in between each section. It wouldn't screw, in my opinion, it wouldn't screw with the flow of the page at all. And I think it would be really helpful to have these interspersed a little bit more. Meeple Mountain, Nashville, Tennessee representing, great people there. Hildegard improves on Spire's End in almost every possible way. A fuller story and a stronger conflict mechanic makes Hildegard feel like a prequel and more like less like a prequel and more like an evolution. That's a great quote. If people like Spire's End, they need to read that quote. I wish it was higher up. So yeah, really cool art. So yeah, and that even kind of comes through to development. It's like, this is really beautiful design. So they're not done it. Which is always, a concern, but I mean, they've already delivered a game. So I'm not concerned that they won't finish it. It's just, when will it deliver? They're saying it'll deliver in July of 2022. So that's a year away. So they have a lot to finish, then go into production, then go to delivery. Luckily for them, it doesn't seem like it's going to be an extremely hard game to produce. There's not a ton of moving pieces. So I do think it's quite possible. A little bit more of the team, and yeah, then shipping. One of the simplest shipping sections I have ever seen in my life. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's good in the fact that they're probably going to get a lot of questions. Pledges from countries not listed above as custom friendly, responsible for their laws, taxes, and customs of each one. So they don't actually touch on that here. Yeah. Promoted by BackerKit. Go BackerKit. We'll be using BackerKit for Mythic Mischief, because CrowdOx and BackerKit combined. We used to use CrowdOx. Now we're going to use BackerKit. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's a nice little page. Very clean, very simple. All right. I like this look a lot. Sebastian says, kind of bummed me that they ran out of copies of the original game. Yeah, so a couple people in the Discord mentioned me about that. I think that was Chris that said that. Hooper Nikau said that. They only had 50 Grey Oaks bundles, which was Spire's End and Spire's End Hildegard. Now, this could just be that they had 50 set around and they didn't want to do another print run, and they're just like, yeah, we'll sell them this way. I don't actually know why they did that. So it's 16 and up is what Spire's End is recommended for your age, because it's a horror game. It is interesting on why they only do 50. The only thing that makes sense to me is that that's how many games they have laying around that they didn't sell, and they just wanted to get rid of them, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, if you could sell, what are they at? How many baggers? 1,300 baggers, almost 1,400 baggers. Now they're probably assuming that a big chunk of those already backed their first game. So their thought is, okay, well, there's not gonna be that many people that didn't also back Spire's End. So we don't need to have a pledge level that has a ton of these, especially if their MOQ is something like 2,500 units. That's not absurd to have a minimum order quantity. MOQ is minimum order quantity. So a publisher will say, if you want to print your game with us, you have to buy at least 2,500 copies is a common number. There are ones that'll do 100 copies or 500 copies, but it's a lot more expensive per game. And so all I have to say is, like, if their MOQ is 2,500 and they think maybe that the Spire's End could potentially sell 1,000 in its lifetime, then it's not worth buying those 2,500 because you won't make any money on those 1,000 because you had to spend so much money to produce the 2,500. So maybe they're just like, 50 games is what we have left over from our first campaign that we didn't sell. Let's sell them here, and then we'll just be done with it. And the good news is they can always add more in the pledge manager if they do have a ton of interest. They're like, we're pretty sure we'll sell just another 1,000 on this campaign. They can add that in the pledge manager. So I think their options are still open. I do think it's a little weird that there were only 50 slots available for that. They can also re-add the same pledge level with more slots. But yeah, I'd be curious to know why that they didn't do the Spire's End plus Spire's End Hildegard. Cool. Dave says, honestly, I like the simple chaos page design. Yep. Paul J, I love Spire's End. This is an instant back for me. Good to know. All right. Still $40 for just cards and 6 dice. Still trying to look into why certain games are perceived as expensive, i.e. Scarface or low entry, as you mentioned, Austin, for this game. Yeah. So, yeah. And well, $40 is a very approachable number, right? Just from a level. And you got to look at, and it's so hard because there's so many different ways to evaluate the cost of a game. And it's really hard. And it's something that it really does come down to what you value. If you were a person that's like, all right, I count up the plastic in a game and that's how much it costs, then you might say $50, $40 for this game isn't worth it because it's just paper and papers and dice and or cardboard and dice. And I think where this one is going to get its value is the artwork and the story and the number of like different story and artwork pieces. Just like we got that with Moonrakers. You're like, this is boards because it has player boards, and then the store boards. It's cards. It's a little bit of plastic because there's 5 miniatures, and then it's metal coins. Like they could have gone without the metal coins, and then this would be a $30 game. And the truth is that we spent more on artwork than most people spend on the entire pre-campaign. Like it was very, very expensive artwork, the minimalistic design. And then we had 40 ship parts and 25 crew. And, it was just so many units of art to do that it's just extremely expensive to make certain games. And if you're not quite sure what level you're going to hit, like you have to add that on top of that, on top of your MOQ cost. And I personally don't think Spire's End is poorly priced. I mean, we can go look. There's not really like a solid what's in the box section either, so maybe that's what's kind of throwing you off too, where it's just like there's 400 cards. Depending on the quality of those cards, like if those are black core or even ivory core with a linen finish, like that's a chunk of change right there. 400 cards is a lot of money to make. I might say it right there. The cards of standard poker, 3.5 by 2.5. Try to make it with a few components as possible. Please note, all art and designs are in development, so to change shown below are some actual shot dice prototypes. Okay. But yeah, no, I don't think this is poorly priced. I think it is a premium on art and story and not plastic. So it just depends on what you're looking for in games. Like if you're a miniatures person, then you would undervalue this. If you're a story person, you might overvalue it. It's kind of hard to know. Cool. Oh, hey, Dave, that was his leftover inventory. He's planning on selling more on his site eventually. All right, so I nailed it. I guessed leftover inventory. I was right. For me, the art value is the value indeed. Great art is priceless, so I agree on that. Good to know, Sebastian. It definitely has a very unique style in board games. I haven't seen very many that are this style, and I really appreciated the style. It's one of the reasons I covered it. Oh no, I'm in an hour and 10 minutes, guys. I'm the worst. All right. Honorable mention, Orlog, Assassin's Creed Valhalla dice game. My thoughts on this. This is a horn Kickstarter, not a board game Kickstarter. the levels, I'm just kind of not even covering this, but like the levels are $44 for the game. And the two most expensive things in that look like the two wooden dice balls, because everything else is cardboard or dice. So it's like $44 for the thing that you roll the dice in. And then the Orlog Tavern edition comes with this horn, this Kickstarter exclusive horn in this like big game. But the horn by itself, that pledge level costs $200. And then if you look down the page, you could buy the horn by itself for $150. And so it's like 3/4 of that pledge level is just a horn that has nothing to do with the game at all. I don't think, right? Horn replica with wooden base. Does it say it does anything in the game? Like, at first I was like, well, Veiled Fate had a wooden board. Like, it makes sense. Like, they have this big component that's a big add-on. It doesn't matter that it's 4 times the cost of the game. But then I was like, but in Veiled Fate, you play on that board. This thing just sits there, I think. Caster has, like, do you roll is it a dice cup? Do you put the dice in it and then roll it? I don't think so. It has a wood tray that you roll in. Anyway, it just made me laugh. I feel like this is a campaign for people that like Assassin's Creed. I was going to say more at the end of it. It's just people that want a collectible for Assassin's Creed and then also a game with it. I mean, the page looks very nice. It's simple. It looks really good. And there's lots of good things I could say about it too. I'm not going to cover it just because it's an hour and 10 minutes in, but this is a horn Kickstarter for me. I don't see how it's like the biggest ticket item. The main thing in the campaign is that, and they have 200 backers on that level. So yeah, most people are just backing the $44 game. I might be being too harsh. Oh, I did want to say one other thing. It always cracks me up when there's an early bird pricing of $44. The same exact pledge level at $49 has 118 backers. People that just missed that the section above it was just early bird and they would get it for $5 less. So 118 people didn't read close enough and lost $5 because of it, which made me laugh. But yeah, it's just a simple. I'm assuming you can play this game in Assassin's Creed, and they just made it a board game and are selling it. So the nice thing is that the people backing this probably have played the game in the actual video game, and so they know if they're going to like it right away. And so it's a fine back if you know you like that game. But there's a coin you flip, and then you roll some dice, and then you have some health stuff, and then yeah, that's about it. The Tavern Edition to ship to anywhere in South America is $320 US. That's wild. Wild. Yeah. I think I would just as soon as not had it on there. Just been like, we don't ship there. But maybe not. All right. That is the end of the episode. So for today's giveaway, I kind of want to do something for Bantam. I know I did emojis, but you can either say a nice thing about Bantam or what you're excited about in either Bantam or Soul Raiders, or you can answer in all emojis. It's going to be for a Moonrakers giveaway. And so it can be anything Moonrakers related, including a Kickstarter exclusive edition. So please comment after the show is over. I went an hour and 12 minutes. Not my best episode, guys. Not my best episode. I talked about Bantam too much. I'm just excited about it. It was a very nice page, Ike. Be proud. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Really, really excited to keep going with the show. I think we're going to be unrolling some new branding. We're going to be talking a lot more on IV Games Weekly about Mythic Mischief. And so we're going to be rolling into kind of just like the road to Kickstarter, where we're talking about developing and then art and just give you a little bit of behind the scenes glimpse. I'll probably have a new studio soon, which I'm excited about. And then this weekend, we have something really fun going on. It probably won't be a lot of content from this weekend, but we have some friends from around the industry coming to Nashville to shoot some content. We're going to shoot some content for their channels. We're going to shoot some content for our channels, especially around Mythic Mischief coming up soon. So that's going to be a blast. I'm really excited to finally meet some of these friends that I've made through the industry. So it's going to be really, really cool to do. All right. The stretch goals seem really good, quite in terms of... Paul, I actually wanted to mention that. I'm sorry, from Assassin's Creed. They upgraded a lot of the cardboard components through their stretch goals, and I should have mentioned that. Like, they have health counters be real stones, and then there's a metal game coin instead of the cardboard one. So yeah, it definitely did improve to be a more quality experience. I should have said that before. All right. I just saw Mythic Mischief website. Is there anything you could tease us with? I'm curious. Paul, what kind of tease do you want? I'm already a minute I'm already 15 minutes over the show, so why not go another 5? That's the end of the Ivy Back show. If you weren't here to talk about Mythic Mischief, then you can head on out. But I have a bunch of miniatures. I don't know. I've been printing miniatures nonstop. I have a 3D printer right there. You actually probably can hear it sometimes on the show. I think I have to print 2,500 individual pieces for our 25 review copies. Can't really see it. There's a table right there that is just completely full of miniatures. You can't see that at all. It's all blurry, but that's just completely full of miniatures. Anything. What can I share with you? I have a hat. Where's my hat? Got a Mythic Mischief hat here. I think I've worn that on stream before, so that's not a reveal. Something you'll definitely be seeing more of soon. We've got lots of swag. No, unbox this, I guess. Quacks, not 100 minis per game, 100 unique components. So there are 7 factions, 4 of them in the base game, and there are 3 minis per faction. There is a Tome Keeper, who is a big bad dude, and he's in every game. And so if you do just the 4 base games, or the 4 base factions, there are 3, so that's 12, 13 actual miniatures in the base game. If you do the all-in pledge, it is 22 miniatures. And then there are bookcases. This is an early version of it. This is not what we're at right now. So there are little bookcases that are on the board. There are 10 of these, so that's 10 more. So if you're looking at the big box version, we're at 32. So we're at 32. Then all of the factions have little books called tomes that are throughout the board itself. And so that's 70 of these little things for an all-in game. And so that's at 102 miniatures and components that are 3D printed by me. And so all that adds up to over 2,500 pieces of printed components per game. Now, huge bulk of that is these little books that doesn't take very long. But still, I have to cut all these out. I have to clean them. I have to walk. Like it's a big process. Yes, this is a thing I cannot talk about too much, but there will be a way to get this before and after the campaign. And it is extremely nice. It's got this like indented thing here. Sam's probably not going to be thrilled with me revealing this yet, but I'm just going to tease it. I'm not going to tell you how you get it. I'm not going to tell you anything about it other than the fact that it's a nice little notebook here. Woo. It's got some open white pages and some lined pages. But as far as gameplay goes, you are a mythical faction. So you're going to choose, you could be the zombies, you could be the Frankenstein's monsters, you could be the vampires. And you are in a library that you are not supposed to be in. There's this full of books that are deemed unsafe for high school children to use alone. And so there is a teacher in there called the Tome Keeper, and is their task to protect those books and care for those books. And this Tome Keeper is really zealous, and it has led to a competition among the kids in which they go into this library and see who can last longer without being caught by the Tome Keeper. And so 2 factions will go into the library, and they will try to get each other caught by the Tome Keeper. It's a quick 10-second version of the game. There's like a programmed route that the Tome Keeper is taking through the library. Your faction has different abilities to move bookcases around, which will move the route that the Tome Keeper is taking. Then you also have different abilities that'll move the other characters around the board and put them in the path of the Tome Keeper. So yeah, that's a little bit about the game. We'll be really ramping up advertising probably next week, just because we're hitting that nice about 6 weeks out when we really try to pump up everything. Player count Codiferous is 1 to 4. The solo mode is being worked on right now, actually. So we're not doing the solo mode. We hired someone to do it this time, and I think that was a really good choice. Can't share yet. Andy, it is not on BGG yet, but that is like the number one thing on my list of things that I need to talk about or to get done is to get it on BGG, but it will be very soon. What does the player count sound like a book? Cool. What else do I need to talk about? Anything? Mythic Mischief? Yeah. It's on TTS. We'll be publicly on TTS very soon. It's on TTS through our Discord. If you want to join, we're going to be doing 2 playtests a week from here on out, probably. Age of Adam, good question. I hope you're working with some plant-based resin. It's probably not good to be inhaling all those fumes otherwise. It is a really nice Form 3 that is a, how do I say this? It is a not heated resin printer, which you get a lot of fumes with that. This is a laser, like, it's like the plate's upside down and the laser shoots onto the resin. It like seals it. I can't describe this because I'm not an engineer. But the prints turn out really, really detailed, and it doesn't smell terrible because it's not heating up tons of resin. So yeah, all right, hour and 20 minutes, way too long. I apologize. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. If you have any questions, hit me up in the Discord. We have tons we can share there. Really, really fun getting to do this with you guys. I learned so much. I really want to do a personality test for Mythic Mischief now, and so thank you, Bantam West, for doing that, so I could learn about it from you. So really cool idea. All right. Age of Adam, yeah, check it out. Form 3. It's a beautiful printer. I love it. It's been wonderful to use. All right, don't forget about the giveaway. Emojis and something nice about Bantam, and that'll be your ticket in. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you on Friday for Ivy Games Weekly. Later.